Hi viewers, Crystal here from the Early Brush Late Brush YouTube channel. I hope you're all well. If you've been following along with these painting demonstrations, you'll know that I learnt how to paint in the style called tonal realism. Back in the day when I was in high school, I attended some classes and my teacher made us do a lot of black and white studies before he would ever let us go into colour. We had to do black and white landscapes, black and white bowls of fruit, black and white flowers in vases, black and white figure studies. And only when he felt that we had got the tones correct would he allow us to go into colour. So this is just another demonstration. We have done the black and white abstract, and then we went into a black and white flower study. This is the landscape version. And the subject that I've chosen is this one. It's just a street, a couple of towns away from where I live. And I really like this rural aspect. There's a beautiful old stone farmhouse, beautiful poplars reaching up to the sky, the mountains in the background, the rural road that goes into the township and the train lines further down there with the boom gates. There's a lot of activity and it allows the eye to wander around this scene. It's going to be a very good one actually to turn into colour at some stage. So we'll roll the intro and we'll get into the demonstration. Whether it's working from a reference photo or whether it's actually being out in the landscape, the approach is pretty much the same. And that is, I like to work from my darkest darks, then through all of the mid-tones, working up to the lightest lights. And the highlights will just be little touches of pure white. So I hope you enjoy the painting process. Hey viewers, the demo that we're going to do today is a landscape. The previous ones that we have done were tonal demonstrations of an abstract painting, and then we moved on to a simple lilium flower. This one is going to be a landscape, and there'll be a few others just to get you confident in painting in black and white. Every artist will see the beautiful colours of the subject they're going to paint, but we need to use our imagination and pretend that we can only see in black and white. That will help us to understand the tonal scale, and that creates three-dimensional depth into a painting. With this painting, what we need to do is to assess what is going to be the focal point, and by the sheer size of the light tone here, it is definitely going to be the stone farmhouse, and it's got that dark door which really adds a bit of impact. The eye wanders from here up the trees into this mid-ground area of the poplars and the bushes, and it continues down to the road. The eye is going in along the roadway to the car here, and then you've got the power poles which stop the eye going out of the painting. It's a bit of a figure of eight, so your eye wanders through here, down here, up and around, back down, and circles in this horizontal figure of eight pattern. What we're going to do is take out this street sign. We don't need that big diamond there. The focal point is the farmhouse, and then you've got this very strong contrast of the lightest light with the darkest dark here. It is also happening here. What we're going to have to do, if this is going to be the focal point, is to reduce the lightness of this sign so that the eye stays in this area as the primary target. to ensure that we have a fairly good design, what we can do is do what's called a no-tan sketch, and that is just black and white. So I've reduced this to only black and white, and you can see that it's still quite an interesting design. The road, the sign, the dark of the trees, and then coming over here to the farmhouse and wandering back again. There is also an app, and it is called the Notanizer app, Notanizer app. That allows you to actually set how many tones you actually want to use. With our tonal strip that we made earlier, we have white at one end going all the way down to pure black. So that would be a full tonal range. Some paintings, it might just be a fairly high key painting, or other paintings might be a low key painting. We actually have the full tonal range. With the app, I'm just going to zoom in now and show you a little bit of the difference. I'll lift it up. This app, we've selected perhaps 8 tones, and in this one we have selected perhaps 10 tones, and you can see the difference. Let's just take the hills as an example. With the hills, this is very plain. It's all reduced to one tone. But with the Notanizer app, you can set it to have so many different tones in it. And now you can see all of the shadows in the escarpment and all of the bushes that actually exist up there in the range of the hills. The road is another big difference. In this one, you've got almost a pure white triangle, but when you choose to have a lot more tones available, you can see all of the gradations here. And I actually like this effect a little bit more, so we're going to put more tones into our road. And also when you look at the farmhouse, in the reduced tonal range, almost all of the roof is a pure white, but in this version, there's a lot more subtle shades of grey. It adds more interest. It's completely up to you, if you use the app, as to how detailed you want your painting to be. What we need to do now is decide just how many tones we are going to use in our black and white demo. I think it is going to be necessary to have the darkest dark, which is a number 10, a black, the door, the shadow down the side of the farmhouse, some of the deep shadows at the base of the poplars and under the street sign, and going across towards the bottom of these trees down here. So we'll definitely have number 10. The next darkest areas are the remainder of this tree, up above here, over in this area, and that would correspond to a number 8. We're going to miss number 9, but we're going to do 10 and 8. Then if we have a look at these mid-ground trees here, we could probably do them as a number 6. We're going to miss number 7, but we will mix tone 6 for this area. The hills are a little bit lighter. They're more of maybe a 4. I think with the grasses down here, we're going to need to do some of number 4. So we'll mix number 4. A number 3 for the hills. There are some highlights on the top of the grasses, a few highlights on the road. They're not pure white in comparison to the street sign. So we'll definitely make number 2, and we will have pure white, which is number 1. So we've got quite a full range, not all, but certainly most of them. The materials that I'm using in this demo is an 8x10 art board, and I'm not affiliated with Reeves, but I absolutely love their oil paints. So we're going to use titanium white and carbon black, and then just to wash the brushes out, I'll be using some Gamsol, which is basically a odourless brush cleaner. We're going to start the painting with our darkest tone, which is pure black, number 10 on our tonal strip. And I'm going to start putting it in under the street sign and around the base of the poplar trees. By putting our darkest dark against many of our lightest lights, it really gives a zing to the painting. So you can see that the darks have been scrubbed in around the stone farmhouse, underneath the white of the car, and it's going in between the whites of the power poles as well. The next darkest tone, which would be a number 8, is going in on the left side at the top part of the Norfolk pine tree, and it's going into some of the darker shrubs that are behind the poplars, which will really push them forward, and over onto the right side behind the stone cottage. Tone number 6 has been lightly washed onto the stone farmhouse and is being applied to the top portion of the poplar trees. part of the poplars is a light mid-tone around a number 4, and this is continued down into the grasses that are in the foreground. As we continue to work from dark to light, we now have all of the distant hills to block in. This is a number 3 on our tonal scale and makes up the bulk of the painting. The light tone in the back of the hills has been continued down into the farmhouse, and there'll be a few little areas of the foreground grasses that will also be highlighted in this same tone. At this stage of the demonstration, I have probably been painting for about an hour and a half. So I'm going to take a little break and have a coffee, go outside into the garden, and then come back and look at the whole scene with a fresh set of eyes. The first thing that I did when I got back from the coffee break was to improve the shape of the car. I still think it's actually a little bit too small, so I might have to make that larger. And then I decided to start adding the sky tone in, which is a number 2. The left side of the painting has been done. I'm just filling in amongst the tall strands of the poplars at the top and working the tone over to the right side of the painting. Thanks for watching the demo of the black and white landscape. If you found the process to be helpful at all, or you would just like to leave a comment or a like, it really helps me with the algorithms in boosting me up in the rankings so that my videos will get shown. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next demo. Bye for now.